to be here. It's not quite Alabama hot, but it's Michigan's best impersonation. So, we were at an event with Sheila, where are you? Burke Park last night, Senator, for Ken Novus's retirement, and we admonished everybody that there should, just like we told the preacher on Sunday, there never heard a bad short sermon. So we'll aware of the heat and we'll act accordingly. So welcome everyone to the Feeding Michigan and Beyond event. I'm Dr. Phil Knight. I serve as the Executive Director for the Food Bank Council and the State Association for our 7 Feeding America food banks that serve all of Michigan's 83 counties. You'll hear from a couple of our food bankers, but let me take a moment to ask our other food bankers to stand. And so Ken right here from Feeding America West Michigan, Kara Ross here from Feeding Food Bank of Eastern Michigan and Flint, Peter from South Michigan Food Bank. And so thanks everyone for being here. It's an honor to host this event today, and I'm humbled as I have greeted you in this space and see leaders from many of Michigan's sectors that are concerned about how do we feed Michigan and beyond. Each of us have a unique role, and Michigan's role in the anti-hunger movement has been and continues to be significant. Throughout my career, I've been inspired by the writings of Johann Wolfgang, and he said this: dream no small dreams, for they stir no one's heart. At the Food Bank Council of Michigan, we talk a lot about dreamers and doers. We need both. But Michigan remains the second most diverse agricultural state. We are the first at being the most diverse with a consistent access to fresh water. So for this reason, and for many more, the people who lead, I'm encouraged about the future of Michigan and the role we have to play in feeding Michigan and beyond. I believe with all of my heart that as we can set the pace here in Michigan to become a food secure state and have other states follow our example. Michigan can set the pace for addressing hunger and creating a food secure Michigan. We have a role to play not only in feeding Michigan, but in feeding America. Today we come together at a time of great possibility, a time to celebrate, but also reflecting on the tremendous opportunities that are upon us. We gather as agriculture and anti-hunger leaders, policymakers, and elected officials to lift up the vital importance of a unified farm bill that supports both farmers and families, and to celebrate this incredible investment the state of Michigan is making to address food security across the state. Now, I'm a dreamer, and I believe our shared vision of a better tomorrow is possible, with people having the right access to healthy food that they both want and need. And one of the reasons I'm so encouraged and believe that hunger can be solved is because of the work of the leaders like our first speaker. She is made in Michigan, through and through. Our United States Senator, Debbie Stabenow, continues to lead on policy and improve the lives of people across Michigan and Americans in general. Her leadership is characterized by an unrivaled work ethic. I know this because I can't keep up with her in those halls. The ability to build bipartisan coalitions to get things done and having a commitment to public service has set the standard for constituent service. As chairwoman of the powerful Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry, her work continues to shape our nation's farm and food policy, impacting generations to come. As chair or as the ranking member since 2011, Senator Stabenow has led the writing of more farm bills than any current member of Congress. say, thank God. She is a champion for strengthening local and regional food systems, and she is nationally recognized as a leader in protecting and strengthening food assistance, child nutrition, and so many more families will have access to healthy food. Now, it says here, please welcome a true public servant, but I got to just add my own Dr. Phil-ism. Every once in a while you come across someone in public service that really, really gets it and understands our families that these are 7 food banks serve. And I'm glad to welcome as our first speaker, not only our United States Senator, but also our friend, Debbie Stabenow.
Michigan Day, you're at Michigan State University, go green! Okay, I know I'm in the right place. So, it's wonderful. Thank you, Phil. Thank you to all the food bank leaders. It's extraordinary what you do. We've been through some pretty tough times, pretty hairy times, and you have stepped up, and the volunteers and everyone engaged in making sure that we're helping people be able to feed their families. And so, thank you for doing that. Thank you, Scott. It's wonderful to have our CEO of the Michigan Farm Bureau here. We appreciate it. This is definitely a partnership between our farmers and our families. And also the great Sarah Anthony, our state senator. We're so grateful for everything that you are doing in the state budget, right? The good things happening. It's really, really great. And I saw Tim Boring, who is is he right in front of me here? Oh, yes, our Department of Agriculture leader. And Tim, thank you for what you're doing. And, I have to say, I really appreciate that you understand the breadth of Michigan agriculture as well, because traditionally we have said this is rural America, and it is. It's rural Michigan. I grew up in Clare, rural development, rural Michigan, my relatives as farmers and so on. But we have really expanded to focus on local healthy foods in with urban agriculture, and with small and regional operations as well as larger operations, and understood, that we all benefit. We benefit in terms of food, healthy food, but also jobs by broadening this out. And so appreciate that. And I didn't see Elizabeth Hurtala. I don't know if someone is here from the department, but so appreciate, the Department of Health and Human Services. The reality is, food is health. Right? Food is health. Health is food. The more we can bring this together and understand this together. And we have a number of things that I'm working on right now with another hat as it relates to Medicare, being able to reimburse for healthy foods, medically healthy foods. But I want to use a couple things. First, shout out to all of you, because we've got more than 1.1 million Michiganders food insecure. As you know, 1 in 7 children. And that only went up with the pandemic. It's incredible the way you are working together, not just on providing food, but focusing on the root causes, helping people in need, conducting research, which is really important, coordinating resources through all the networks, very, very important. So your leadership is extraordinary. And when I was looking at the numbers, the council together has distributed 170 million pounds of food in the last year, since last August, and that's provided over 142 million meals. 142 million meals. So we're in the right place right now with the right leaders. And thank you, Phil, for all that you're doing. Let me take a minute on the Farm Bill, because the Farm Bill, it's really a misnomer. I mean, it's the farm safety net, our support for our growers, which is essential. Nobody is in a rougher business or worries more about the weather, although we're all worrying about it more and more now as we look at the climate crisis hitting us over the head. But our farmers are in the riskiest business in the world. And so we need to support them. it is not by accident that we have the safest, most affordable, most abundant food in the world. It is because of our support and the efforts to support our farmers and agriculture. At the same time, we have a family safety net. This is why I believe it's so important that we bring it all together. And for every $1 we put in SNAP, it's $1.50 in the economy. So farmers want people buying food, right? And we need to make sure that we are putting this together as the farm and food bill, as well as the fact it's the largest investment we make in land and water conservation in our country. So there's a whole bunch of things in the farm bill, but it is fundamentally about feeding people and about supporting the people who grow the food to be able to feed people and being able to bring that all together. We've got some challenges in this farm bill. Somehow, it's very frustrating to me that I've been involved in 6 farm bills. This is the 3rd one I've led on. I started when I was 5. But the reality is that every time there are people that want to say, why is the nutrition title of the farm bill? Why do we have SNAP? Why do we run food banks to the farm bill? Why do we not just focus on the farmers? And it's become more and more and more of a partisan issue, which is so frustrating to me to see that happen. Now, at the same time, though, what we see is the Farm Bureau, the major farm leaders in the country standing up and saying, we need a unified farm bill. So, but we continue to struggle. We're struggling again on that. I'm really pleased that in the last farm bill, we called for a real update on how they figure out the amount of SNAP in terms of buying patterns and costs and so on. It hadn't been done in 50 years. Not 5 years, 50 years. A real update had not been done. It was called the Thrifty Update. And because of that, over 50 years, we got an update for SNAP, which is the great news. Now, it was a 21% increase after 50 years. But you know what that equated to? $1.35. So when we look at these numbers, we're talking about $6 a day, roughly. Michigan's slaking us. Think about the coffee that you bought this month. $6 a day is what people are fighting about for people. And I'm so glad that you're on the side of making sure we are protecting people's food. The great news is Michigan has led the way. We lead the way over and over again. But Double Up Bucks originally started with Fair Food Network and a Kellogg Foundation grant to say if you go to a food bank or a farmer's market and you get fresh fruits and vegetables, that you will be able to get double the value of your SNAP benefits. That works so well in Michigan that I was able, as chair, to take it nationwide. It's now national. We're now putting it in grocery stores. It all started in Michigan. So, we have a dairy assistance program that started with Michigan milk producers and came from Flint when the crisis happened in Flint, and we knew children needed nutrition, and we had to do something about it. And the Michigan milk producers were the first commodity group that stepped up to be able to help kids in Flint. And there was a dairy donation program, again, that I was able to take nationally, again, starting in Michigan. So we kind of like lead the way, in addition to all the things that the food banks are doing, we lead the way. So I tell the story all the time, and you need to help me tell the story. I know that you are, about why it's so important that we have the family food part of our bill intact. We're not going backwards, we're not going to cut, we're not going to do it. But we've got to make sure that within the resources we have, which are frankly tight at the moment, that we can do whatever we can to improve things. I've looked at all the food bank priorities, additional funding for TGAP. I'd love to be able to do the commodity supplemental food program. We are working closely to figure out ways to have new opportunities for access to fresh, kosher, halal, and culturally relevant foods within the program, so we will support things. And I appreciated very much your feedback on all of that. I know that what we have seen in Michigan has been wonderful, the increases. I also know that the reality is that my team working with the food banks, we heard a few months ago that shipments of food were slow and not happening, and I was really glad, and with the feedback that came from all of you to say, hey, what's going on here, that in June we were able to get the USDA to give $1 billion in additional money for food banks to buy food. So thank you for letting us know. I have just a quick shout out. I got to say, healthy school meals for all. Way to go, historic investments in the Farm to Food Bank project, and I'm very, very pleased after a long time trying to get a permanent summer meals program. That last December, I was able to get the necessary votes to get us the summer EBT program expansion and support so that kids can actually eat more food this summer as well as throughout the school year. So we're all working together. It's wonderful to be here. There's a lot to do. This is really a challenging time in DC. I don't know if you noticed that. I've got 260 members, mostly in the House, but some in the Senate, who never voted on one farm bill. Some of them have barely been here a year. So we're doing all this education. I'm putting up every week now something we call Farm Bill 101, which is a one-pager on the different programs in the Farm Bill, so that we're getting out to people and saying, this is what it is. No, this is like really important. This is what it is. We're working with all of our farm groups, but we have got to have your continued engagement, and I know you will. We have got to, because there's so much on the line. This is literally life and death. It's literally quality of life. It's literally whether or not children will be able to achieve and thrive because they're not hungry in school or at home or in the community. So thank you for everything you're doing. I'm proud to be a part of it.
I had the opportunity to talk with Jeff Mosher from Chris Holden's Michigan Business Network.
Yes.
By the way, Chris is the only one who dressed appropriately for today. So, why should business care about food insecurity? Because if they're not well fed, they'll never be well read. It's school meals for all that we're going to talk about. And in about 5, 10, maybe 12 years from now, Chris, that's who we're going to be trying to hire at our small businesses and beyond. So this is an investment for all of us, an issue for all of us. And a person who I know and you know that stands in the gap for agriculture and for farmers, and specifically in and across Michigan, is our board member at the Food Bank Council, Mr. Scott Piggott. Scott?
First of all, on behalf of the 40,000 farmers, some inside the room today or outside in this beautiful space, it's a humble thank you. I've been on the Food Bank Council board for a couple years now, and I have really grown such an appreciation for such brilliant people who do a fantastic job of getting food to where it needs to be, to those who are most vulnerable, who need it the most. And I've been so impressed and have learned so much too. So for those food bank folks that I've been blessed to sit next to a couple times, thank you. And thank you for putting this event together. On behalf of our farmers too, I want to say thank you to the Senator. You've been a fantastic champion for agriculture in the Great Lakes all of your life. And we are so blessed to have your service. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Say also what a blessing it is to have Congresswoman Alyssa Slockett on the Agricultural Committee too. She's been a fantastic partner, as the Senator has, helping support that agriculture that Phil spoke about, that very diverse 350 different commodities that we grow, helping to support conservation measures that farmers put on the ground to be able to make great food, but also protect our environment in the ways that we live on our farms. I live 30 minutes north of here. I farm with my family. I want that for my kids, my grandkids, and I'm not going to lose anything to it that's going to make it bad to them. That's how way farmers feel about their farms. This isn't anything that we do just because it's easy or because we like trying to duel with the weather. It's a living, and it's a gift, and it's a calling. So for the farmers in our state, in our country, the Farm Bill is paramount. The ability to work in an environment where we can't predict what the weather's going to be like, the ability to have a farm bill that helps us to attain credit for our younger farmers, the ability to have support for conservation practices that we really employ. We have a national leading program in our environmental assurance program that our farmers have taken advantage of the opportunity to use the Farm Bill to be able to put in great conservation on the ground. The ability of our farmers not to just access credit, and that's a part of the Farm Bill, but the ability to have protections under crop insurance. These are some of the big parameters that really help our farmers to live and to survive. And that's why it's so important, not just to our farmers, but to our country. I have learned so much, and have watched and have participated in ways to stop hunger in our schools, in our communities, and to understand the value of getting that last mile, to get food where it needs to go, to find a linkage between the farmers who are doing fantastic work in creating a product, and the labor that they have, the costs that they have to be able to create that wonderful piece of food, but then to be able to find a way to get it to the brilliant people who work at food banks, to be able to get it to the people who need it the most. To be able to find a way to bridge that gap is something that the Farm Bill helps with. We are so blessed to live in the state that we are, to work in the industry that we are, and to know that we're not alone. There are a lot of wonderful entities that are seeking to bridge this gap, to be able to have a Farm Bill in place, unified Farm Bill in place, that we at Farm Bureau are going to be lockstep in working with groups like the Farm Bank Council, working with Senator Stabenow, working with those in Congress to make sure that there's a Farm Bill in place that helps our farmers to grow and to help our communities be able to help those that are most vulnerable. With that, I wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity to spend time with you today at that time of hope. I practiced the whole short circuit thing with Phil, but I'm grateful for you and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Well, the Farm Bill is important to all of us. And, you know, I think getting it passed in the next, month's calendar year might be relatively simple to getting it down to a one-pager. That's pretty, that's a great accomplishment in and of itself. So the Farm Bill is important because of many reasons, but for the families that food banks serve, it's a way that really provides basic needs. And as Abraham Maslow taught us, we're not really going far until those are met. Our lives are not free. If you're living under the toxic stress of being food insecure, what am I going to eat? What am I going to give my kids? Your mind's not free to think about what's next or what could be, but you're just consumed by that toxic stress. And so a person who understands that stress because of the work she does at Food Gatherers is Markell Miller. Markell, will you come please?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Markell Miller. I'm the Director of Community Food Programs at Food Gatherers. We're one of the member food banks for the Food Bank Council of Michigan. We serve the Washtenaw County area, and our warehouse is located in Ann Arbor. And as everyone has been talking about the importance of food for our communities, the importance of food for these individuals we serve, these are big price tags, but these are real people in our community. And there are so many individuals we serve, and their stories are all different. We have people, about half the people we serve, come to a food bank only once or twice a year. We're there for them as an emergency resource, and that helps them stabilize and help them get back on their feet. And it's so important. And food banks are a great example of a federally supported but privately supported partnership. Food banks throughout the pandemic have demonstrated we have the infrastructure, the resources, the community connections to connect a neighbor when they need food to a place where they can get food that works for them. And we've flexed our muscles that we can do this work. And right now, we are facing a time where the need is still high. These pandemic benefits have ended as we expected, but the hardships that families with low incomes are facing are still there. High prices at the grocery store, which we all see. People with lower incomes, that hurts them harder, right? So where are they gonna go? They're gonna go to a food bank. And we, just like all of my colleagues here, have seen more people coming, new people showing up, and people coming more frequently when those SNAP benefits have, the extra SNAP have decreased. And that demonstrates the importance of the adequacy of SNAP benefits. And we are so thankful that that Thrifty Food Plan update happened, and it is unfathomable to think of a further decrease to SNAP. Logistically, physically, but also financially, the food bank network could not absorb that. For every meal we serve, SNAP serves 9 meals to our community, so a cut to SNAP is not going to be filled by the food bank network. That said, the food bank network does have the infrastructure in place, and we are able to combine food from local donations from grocery stores, food purchasing that we do with our private funds, from state-funded food programs like MASS, which we're so excited to see the increase, but then also TFAP. And as you talked about, TFAP is so critical for us. And it's hard to imagine how we as food banks will continue to meet the need with it staying high if we don't see an increase in TFAP. I think that is so effectively distributed throughout every state, and here in Michigan, every county. We can use our infrastructure to house that product and get it out. And TFAP doesn't just support the families we're serving, it supports Michigan farmers too. Michigan is the second largest producer of USDA foods for the country, second only to California. So it's a great support, not just for Michigan families, but also Michigan farmers and distributors. So with that, I thank you, Senator Stabenow, for your lifetime leadership and your commitment to SNAP and TFAP, and thank you to the Food Bank Council for including food gatherers here today.
Okay, so today, now we pivot just a little bit. So the national, federal policy that impacts families and farmers, and we'll just turn to see the effects of what federal policy has on state policy. And I have the privilege to introduce Senator Sarah Anthony. And I thought about how I would do this, and I just want to share just a little bit that back in the day, there was a great compliment given, and that compliment was, who can I trust? Who will go and stand in the gap? And that was God Almighty who asked that question. Every once in a while, someone comes along and will stand in the gap. And every once in a while, someone will come along in the generation behind, following in those footsteps and stand in the gap. And I don't know of anyone that does it more and does it better than our own Senator Sarah Anthony, who stood in the gap this year and would not take no for an answer, and it resulted in 3 pieces of legislation and policy that directly affect the families we serve. First of all, the pension tax. For those of you who have hair like me and Ken, we're pretty excited about that. That's $1,000 back into seniors' pockets that they use. The second one is school meals for only the 7th state and all of the U.S. to accomplish this. And then something we're all excited about is the MASS line item that Markell shared about. This is a grant the state of Michigan gives to the Food Bank Council that allows us to shorten our supply chain and buy directly from Michigan farmers, producers, and processors so that we can get healthy, nutritious food to the families who need it most. And that would not be possible had you not accepted the call to stand in the gap. Thank you.
everyone? Hey. Well, we'll be real brief. I know you're hot. I know you're hot. I put on my jacket just in case my mom saw any of these pictures. So, the order of this program is unfair. I would have loved to have gone before Senator Stabenow, who was absolutely the blueprint for public service here in mid-Michigan and also across the state. And then hearing from Farm Bureau and directly from the folks who are doing this work in every corner of the state can be a little intimidating, but I will do my best to both be brief and also hopefully a little bit impactful. So I'm Sarah. I represent the 21st District, which includes all of Eaton County, as well as the majority of Ingham County. And as a daughter of Lansing, I will tell you, my parents instilled in me that you need to be doing something to make someone else's life better. And, you know, outside of the elected official stuff, one of the boards that I am most proud of saying sign me up for was the food bank here in mid-Michigan. You see, this was a board that when I thought about how I would spend my extra time as a young professional, I wanted to make sure that I was impacting real people's lives. You know, you have the political boards that you go on for, you know, networking, or you can actually be signing up to impact the lives of men, women, and children right here in your community. So that was the best board that I've ever served on, because you can actually see the return on investment. And what I committed to doing, regardless of where life would take me, is to take the experiences in serving on that board, taking the stories of families who needed someone to stand in the gap, and taking those stories to the legislature. And oftentimes when we hear people sour about elected officials, it's not because of their political leanings, whether they're Republican or Democrat or how they voted, but that we feel that they forget about us. When the election is over, when they get done campaigning, knocking on doors, coming to our churches, that they forget about the real stories that they are able to hear when they are on the campaign trail. So I committed to doing the opposite, to taking thousands of the conversations that myself and my colleagues in the House and the Senate, that we would gather those stories and translate them into policy. Now, this job, this Appropriations Committee position is a pretty important. And the billions of dollars that we were able to invest in every part of the state was a commitment to translating those stories, those conversations, to real dollars. And I'm proud of the work that we were able to do. I'm proud that we were able to reinvest taxpayer dollars from the federal level, also here from the state level, and translate them into real meals. These are not hard conversations. We talk about the fact that budgets are moral documents. And I believe that history will look at this time, and when we looked at the federal surplus that we were able to invest, I think we did it the right way. That people can actually feel the impact that the state budget could have on people's lives. Isn't that what we're all supposed to be doing? So whether you are a leader in elected office, serving as the head of a food bank, or in any parts of your role here in the state of Michigan, I hope that you all are able to reflect on the work that you're doing and making sure that people are at the center of that work. So I have to give a big shout out to Phil. I have to give a big shout out to all of you who stepped up to lead in your respective parts of the vineyard. And I also have to give credit to a couple of my colleagues in the legislature. You know, because I didn't get to do the budget myself. That would have been a real easy process. Negotiations would have been great. But I was blessed to be able to negotiate alongside our amazing governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who was mission and values aligned every step of the way. Mid-Michigan is very blessed that I'm serving in the Senate, and then Representative Angela Whitwer in Delta Township was also instrumental in prioritizing food banks in this year's budget. But even at the subcommittee level, one of my favorite state senators, Senator Sue Shink, was instrumental in making sure these dollars got to the food banks all across the state. I know Sydney Hart is here representing her office, so just wave, Sydney. But again, budgets are moral documents, and I think we got this one right. And I don't know what the future will hold. We'll have a lot less money to work with, But I promise you that if we continue to keep people at the center of every single one of these budgets, I think we'll continue to have events like this in which we're able to say, we got it right for people. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate the time.
We need to get a bus, take this show on the road here. That was good stuff there. Budgets are a moral document. Yeah, I saw a couple of amens over there, so that was pretty good. So it's keeping people at the center. That is a huge focus for us nationally and Feeding America here in Food Bank Council. And how does that impact? So we've asked the president of our board, Gerry, who's the CEO at Gleaners Community Food Bank in Southeast Michigan, to come and share a little bit about those. So,
well, this is certainly a momentous occasion, and you know, I want to deliver this message in by way of a thank you. And this thank you has two parts. It has a thank you for and a thank you from part. So, thank you for investing in our ingredient. Thank you for investing in growers throughout the state. Thank you for investing in rural economies. Thank you for strengthening the food supply chain in Michigan. Thank you for making the next big jump in food security for our state only a few months away. Thank you for helping us do both more and better for those that we serve and those that you serve. Thank you for putting your trust in the Food Bank Council of Michigan, in Michigan's food banks, and the 2,000 pantries and community organizations that serve our hungry neighbors. Thank you for all those things. Thank you from Jenny, a single mom who just needs access to produce and milk to make ends meet for her and her 2 children. Thank you from Roger, a senior who is on a fixed income and even though he owns his home, will need some assistance with nutritious food to stay healthy. Thank you from Darlene, who is attending community college to become a nurse and in the meantime needs a little assistance to realize her dreams. Thank you from John, a rural grower of Michigan produce who can now count on enough income for his family farm to keep the farm in the family. Thank you from Kathy, a credit union loan officer who loaned John the funds for a piece of farm equipment and can count on him making his payments, which in turn helps the credit union make their next loan. Thank you from the over 1 million food insecure Michigan voters who are as pleased as can be that you have listened to them, heard what they need, and have taken action to make our state a better place for them. So on behalf of the Food Bank Council of Michigan, the 7 food banks that serve all 83 counties in the state, and all the people and organizations dedicated to taking hunger off the table in Michigan, thank you for making the most significant investment the state of Michigan has ever made to improve emergency food access while strengthening growers, rural economies, and the food supply chain in our state. We are truly grateful for your leadership.
when you try to say thank you, sometimes those 2 words just don't weigh enough. Somebody does something for you and you're just so overwhelmed by the goodness of it and the potential of good that it has. And then all you have is just thank you. And sometimes those words don't weigh enough. But Gerry, I think they have a little more weight after that. Thank you. So fresh eyes, right? Some of us have been doing this work for going on 9 years. Some of us have been doing this work a little longer than that. Fresh eyes. Adrian Lewis comes to us as the new CEO for Forgotten Harvest, an organization dedicated to eliminating waste. And Adrian, please come.
Thank you, Phil. And thank you, Gerry, from Adrian. Well, I gotta tell you, thank you for the fresh set of eyes mindset. I would also say that it must have been purposeful that they would put the rookie or the new fresh set of eyes on last, not Gerry. However, the sentiments are the same. We truly are grateful for all that's being done in this space. As stated, I'm Adrian Lewis. I'm the recently appointed CEO at Forgotten Harvest. For those of you that may not be familiar, Forgotten Harvest is a nonprofit food rescue organization, which is one of the largest of its kind in the nation. Last year, over 700 food businesses, that's from growers to wholesalers, distributors, processors, retailers, high-quality entertainment venues, they donated their surplus healthy foods in which Forgotten Harvest distributes free of charge to over 200 of our partner agencies. Now, what does that do, right? What does that do? That enables us, we predict this current year, fiscal year, that we're going to be able to grow our relationships to the extent of distributing over 48 million pounds. They may say, what does that mean? That's 40 million meals. So that would not be possible if we didn't have the confidence of what's going on today. We didn't have the confidence of what's going to transpire in greater Eden's here. So as a new leader with a fresh set of eyes, I stand very confident that not only am I in the right space, not only am I leading with purpose, but I know that with a fresh set of eyes, all of us renew our mindset and become innovative in this space. Now, while again I may be one of the newer members of the Food Bank Council's Board of Directors, I do bring 30 years, or a little over 30, I'm not going to date myself, but a little over 30 years of retail leadership experience working amongst communities, food growers, again, processors, wholesalers, and customers. In fact, I was one of the nation's leaders in ensuring that one of our largest Michigan-based food retailers became an early adopter of double up food banks to help low-income individuals that may be able to shop fresh and nutritious items at a double value. So to me, I knew early on how important that was, and to be able to carry that towards greater and higher impact. So I'm very grateful and thankful for that. Again, knowing the needs of people that Forgotten Harvest and all of us serve is critical to our focus on developing a vision, goals, and programs to help people facing need to access healthy foods efficiently, effectively, and more importantly, with respect to people. Our model, again, with the help of this work that's being done, our model enables us not only to rescue food, but now to bring it back to our facility, sorted in a fashion that is distributed equitably from not only a volume perspective, but also from a nutritional value perspective. With this background, and with a deeply rooted commitment to hear and respect the people we serve, I am honored to bring to you Forgotten Harvest and the Food Bank Council's commitment and support for the investments and programs that bring benefits, like we say, from farmers to families, right? And across all the ag food system within Michigan and across our nation. The federal Farm Bill provides critical foundations for people facing food insecurity, and also benefits our Michigan growers, as stated before. That's important to us, and as well as our processors. It's almost like a domino effect, if we all could agree. The Farm Bill also includes critically important investments to ensure that the nation's emergency food network, including our Michigan network, has adequate resources and infrastructure to receive and distribute this healthy food. I can go on, and I know that it may seem like I'm preaching to the choir, but it really soothes my soul to be able to say that and cement that into not only my head, but goes down under the shoe. I want to thank you, Senator Stabenow. I want to thank you. Not only for your dedication, but your effective leadership. Being dedicated and effective is a great match, and you're the epitome of that. I thank you for that. For God Congress, as well as all of us here today, I would humbly be grateful for you. I can see it and feel it. And that was, again, not just because of the speech, but every time I met you, I know it's your dedication. I thank you for that. Again, we also must thank the state of Michigan for your historical vision to establish the mass, right? And for that investment that brought that support. We talked about that today. Thank you, all of our leaders in congressional delegations. As we look to the future of the food system for facing people in need, I encourage us to continue strong support for food rescue, to hear from growers, processors, retailers about factors that may contribute to excess supply. Let's become more efficient, communicate, build those relationships. We must also protect the federal Emerson Good Samaritan Act. That's another important one. And federal enhanced tax incentives for food donations and to charitable organizations like the God Harvest and many of our partner food banks that are here today. We look forward to more conversations with each of you to share our collective vision and work, and to work with each of you to continue to envision how we can best do better and more. There's more to be done. As a new fresh set of eyes, I always say that it's self-inflicted. Many of you can agree to that. With a fresh set of eyes, you see the opportunity to just keep going and going and going. You have my commitment, much similar to Stabenow's commitment, to keep this work going. And I thank you for allowing me to speak today. Thank you.
Well, we've come to the end of the program, and that's a good thing because the food is melting in here. And no, it's not ice cream. So let's just wrap this up really quick. We have a fundamental belief at the Food Bank Council, and that is we believe that hunger is not bigger than we are, it is not better than we are, and it is not beyond us. We can do it working together. So, when you go back to D.C. in a few days, and, to do your job, you need the mind of a scholar and the heart of a shepherd, but you better have the hide of a rhinoceros, for sure. And when they get after you, you just know your family's got you. And the same thing for you, Senator Anthony. As the years come and go, we're with you. Thank you. So with that, I would say thank you all for coming, and please find refreshments over here, find enjoyment with each other, and try to get to the cheese before it all melts away.